Strange Tales from a Chinese Studio, Story 49.
So the story is set during the Xuande era.
Yeah.
And just to give some context to anyone listening, we are talking about the Ming Dynasty.
Which is a period characterized by a highly centralized, incredibly powerful imperial government.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the emperor at this time has a hobby. He is totally obsessed with cricket fighting.
Which was a real historical pastime, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. But the text explicitly notes that crickets aren't even native to this specific region where our story takes place.
Oh, man. So right away, the emperor's personal amusement creates this massive logistical problem of supply and demand.
Yep.
Because the emperor loves these fighting crickets, an annual levy, like a literal bug tax, is imposed on the people to supply them.
And we really need to look at the mechanics of how that actually happens because, the emperor doesn't draft a law saying ruin the peasantry for bugs.
Right. He's not signing a bill that says that.
No, this is the phenomenon of the bureaucratic cascade. What starts as an imperial amusement, literally just a game for the ruler, filters down through layers and layers of sycophants.
Ah, so it's a game of telephone but with taxes?
Sort of, yeah. The emperor probably just mentions casually that he enjoys the fights. The high-ranking officials hear this and realize that providing the best crickets is a fast track to promotion.
So they pressure the provincial governor.
Exactly. The governors pressure the magistrates. By the time this desire reaches the common people, it has hardened into a rigid, completely inescapable mandate.
Because nobody wants to be the guy who tells the emperor or their immediate boss that they couldn't find any good bugs this year.
Nobody wants to be the bearer of bad news to an absolute monarch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we get this local magistrate in a place called Huayin, and he manages to find a prime cricket.
Lucky him.
Well, yeah. He submits it up the chain to curry favor with his superiors. He's basically kissing up to the boss, hoping for a promotion.
Right.
And because his bug is a winner, the region is suddenly subjected to a strict, regular quota. The reward for his success is actually a permanent burden on his people.
Oh, that is so brutal.
It is. The superiors essentially say, hey, you found a great bug last year, which means your region is capable of this. From now on, you owe us a champion every single year.
So his ambition becomes their nightmare.
Exactly. And right away, the text details how this completely warps the local economy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Local market manipulation begins almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Young rogues in the city, that's how they're described, start hoarding the best cricket.
For cornering the bug market.
Cornering the market, they capture them, cage them, and jack up the prices, creating this massive artificial bubble.
Wow.
I was trying to think of a modern equivalent, and it reminds me of aggressive scalping syndicates.
Oh, like with concert tickets?
Yes. When a limited edition sneaker drops or tickets to a massive concert go on sale, bots buy them all up, and suddenly a $100 ticket is $10,000 on the resale market.
It's the exact same economic principle of artificial scarcity.
Exactly. But imagine if buying that scalped concert ticket wasn't a choice. Imagine if purchasing that artificially inflated asset was a mandatory tax enforced by a violent government.
The psychological terror sets in when you realize the absolute lack of alternatives.
Right.
It's one thing to be priced out of a luxury market, like sneakers. It's another entirely to have your livelihood and your physical safety tied to something as fleeting, fragile, and artificially inflated as an insect.
And a bug dies so easily.
Exactly. And the text notes that corrupt clerks use this cricket quota as a localized extortion racket.
Because of course they do.
Right. They demand a bug, knowing full well the average citizen can't find a champion in the wild and certainly can't afford the scalper prices.
What happens?
As a result, several families lose their entire estates. Generational wealth, land, homes, everything is wiped out because they are forced to liquidate all their assets just to pay the tax for a single cricket.
Wow. So the state has basically weaponized a hobby to strip the populace of their wealth.
That's exactly what's happening.
Moving from the macroeconomy of this cricket extortion, the source material zooms in on the micro-level impact. We see how this mechanism destroys one specific, highly vulnerable individual.
Right. This is where it gets incredibly personal.
Yeah. We meet Cheng Ming. He is introduced as a scholar who repeatedly fails his exams.
Which is an important detail.
Yeah, he's described as naive, clumsy with his words. He is fundamentally unsuited for ruthless local politics.
He's an introvert in a Shark Tank.
Totally. He's not a hustler. He's not manipulating the market. He's an honest guy who just wants to study, but he keeps failing to achieve official status.
And His repeated failure at the exams is a crucial detail because it establishes his lack of political protection.
How so?
Well, in this bureaucratic structure, passing the exams grants you a certain level of immunity and status. You become part of the apparatus.
Ah, I see.
Cheng Ming is educated enough to be known in the community, but he lacks the official rank to protect himself. So the corrupt local clerks realize he is the absolute perfect target.
Oh, no.
They force Cheng into the role of village head, a position known historically as the lisheng.
I really want to pause on that term, Liu Sheng,
Yeah.
because the text makes it very clear this is a trap, not a promotion.
Not at all.
If you're listening and wondering why being the village head is a bad thing, it comes down to liability.
Absolutely.
They don't give him this role because they think he'd be a great leader. They do it specifically to make him the fall guy.
Right, because the corrupt clerks know the cricket quota is mathematically impossible for the village to meet.
Yeah.
And they know about the extortion racket they are running on the side, so they need someone to take the blame when the quota inevitably falls short.
And poor Chang tries every scheme he can think of to decline the role, but he fails.
Because he doesn't have the political leverage to say no.
Exactly. The state has literally conscripted him into middle management simply to have someone to punish later.
And the timeline of his ruin accelerates terrifyingly fast once he is in that position.
It's like watching a car crash in slow motion.
It really is. The text states that within less than a year of being forced into the Lizheng role, Cheng is entirely bankrupt.
1 year.
Less than a year. His modest estate is completely exhausted.
Yeah.
And when the cricket tax is due, his inherent morality becomes his ultimate vulnerability.
How does that work?
Well, as the village head, he's supposed to collect the bugs or the exorbitant replacement fees from his neighbors.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
Uh,
He knows his neighbors are starving. He knows they don't have the money. He just cannot bring himself to use the violent extortion tactics required to squeeze blood from a stone.
he just refuses to play the corrupt game.
He does.
And because he doesn't extort his neighbors, he has no funds.
Right.
Because he has no funds, he can't buy a prized cricket from the scalpers to fulfill the quota himself.
Right.
He is entirely tracked by his own conscience.
The narrative provides such a brilliant depiction of systemic failure here. Chang is punished not for committing a crime, but for his lack of cruelty.
Wow. Punished for not being cruel enough.
Exactly. The system actively penalizes the innocent and rewards the manipulative. If he had been willing to ruin his neighbors, beat them down, he might have survived the year.
The bureaucracy has created an environment where empathy is literally a fatal flaw.
It's a feature, not a bug of the system. Pardon the pun.
Good one. But really, if playing by the rules guarantees your destruction, you have to ask why someone wouldn't simply run away.
That's a natural question.
Right. If the system is rigged to drain you of everything you own and then punish you for being empty, flight seems like the only logical response. Why just sit there and take it?
Well, in the bureaucratic structure of this era, your identity, your land, and your family's legal existence are inextricably tied to your specific locality.
Oh, so you can't just move to the next town over.
No, not at all. The household registration system was incredibly strict. Running away means becoming a stateless fugitive.
Oh, wow.
You lose access to legal commerce, you become an outlaw, and you subject your family to starvation or capture by bandits.
So there's nowhere to go.
The state has engineered a perfect trap where remaining means ruin, but fleeing means death. So Chang tries the only honest option left to him.
Which, yeah.
This, he attempts to catch a champion cricket himself.
So he goes out into the wild day after day. He's digging under old walls, moving rocks, searching through weeds from dawn until dusk.
Just back-breaking work.
Yeah, but his catches are weak. They're just regular, everyday insects. They completely fail to meet the Emperor's absurd, elevated standard for a fighting champion.
Because of course they do. He's not a bug expert.
And the consequences for failing to meet that standard are just brutal. The magistrate gives him strict deadlines. When Cheng fails to produce the bug, he is beaten mercilessly in the court.
Yeah, the violence is state-sanctioned.
The magistrate orders over 100 lashes.
And the physical description in the text is absolutely harrowing. The narrative does not shy away from the brutality inflicted upon his body.
Not at all.
He is left bedridden, his legs covered in blood and pus. He is beaten so severely that he literally cannot walk to hunt for bugs anymore.
Which is so completely counterproductive.
Right. Think about the perverse logic of this punishment. The state has demanded he perform a physical task, scouring the countryside for insects, and then physically disabled him from performing it because he wasn't fast enough.
It's the ultimate bureaucratic catch-22.
It really is. It's designed not to produce a result, but to break the human spirit.
And it successfully breaks him. He's lying there in agony. His family is ruined. His body's destroyed, and he actively contemplates suicide.
Which is so incredibly tragic.
The mortal world, like the rational systems of government, law, and human society, has offered absolutely no justice or escape for Cheng.
None.
He played by the rules of morality, he tried to do the labor himself, and he was physically dismantled for it. When the rational world becomes a machine of irrational terror, and the state fails you completely, your options vanish.
And that's when you turn to the irrational. You turn to the supernatural.
Right.
When the state becomes an engine of pure violence, the marginalized have to rely on magic, luck, and blind faith just to survive.
Because there's nothing else left.
Exactly. The rational cause and effect of, hard work leading to success has been completely severed. And this is the perfect thematic environment for the arrival of the hunchbacked fortune teller.
Yeah, the atmosphere shifts completely in this scene. A hunchbacked witch arrives in the village. Her makeshift sanctuary is immediately flooded with women seeking answers.
Desperate people looking for any kind of hope.
Exactly. And Cheng's wife goes to see her, and the text describes an incredibly dense, mystical atmosphere.
Set the scene for us.
It's a tightly curtained room. There's a heavy incense burner smoking in the center. The witch is murmuring inaudibly to the heavens, and the crowd of desperate people is standing in absolute terrified silence.
Notice the contrast there between the spaces of power.
What do you mean?
Well, we just left the chaotic, loud, violent space of the magistrate's court, where power is exercised through screaming officials and the physical crack of the whip.
Right, very loud and abrasive.
Now we are in a quiet, dark, incense-filled room where power is exercised through mystery and the unseen. Both the state and the oracle hold the power of life and death over these people, but the oracle offers an illusion of hope.
While the state only offers a guarantee of pain.
Exactly. And the silence of the crowd is born of the exact same desperation that caused Cheng to dig under walls for weeks.
So Cheng's wife pays the fee, she burns her incense, and she waits in that terrified silence. Eventually, a piece of paper is tossed from behind the curtain.
Just a single piece of paper.
Yeah, it perfectly addresses her unspoken question about where to find a cricket, but it contains absolutely no words. It is entirely visual. A detailed drawing.
And the absence of words is significant there.
Also,
Well, the bureaucracy that ruined them relies entirely on words, edicts, quotas, exam essays, legal registrations. The supernatural realm rejects that language entirely. It communicates through raw imagery.
oh, that's a brilliant point. So the drawing shows a temple, a small hill, scattered rocks, thorny bushes, a green-headed cricket, and a toad preparing to jump.
It's a literal treasure map.
A magic treasure map. When she brings this back to Cheng, he recognizes the scene immediately as the Great Buddha Temple located east of their village.
Okay.
Now remember, he's a guy whose legs have been beaten to a pulp, he's covered in pus and blood, but he uses a walking stick, drags himself out of bed, and painstakingly makes his way to this location.
It is a pilgrimage born of pure, unadulterated desperation. He is following visual clues from a mystic because the rational world has left him with zero options. And the text highlights his meticulous adherence to the map. He is desperate to align reality with the vision. He looks for the scattered rocks. He searches the thorny bushes.
He's just trying to force the miracle to happen through sheer willpower and exhaustion.
Exactly.
And he spends hours searching. His body is failing him. His eyes and ears are straining. It seems entirely hopeless. And then suddenly, a toad jumps out.
Just like the drawing.
It perfectly matches the drawing. He follows the toad, and sure enough, he spots a magnificent cricket hiding in a thorny bush. It runs into a crevice, and he uses water from a bamboo tube to flesh it out.
And the text describes the prize he fleshes out in majestic, almost divine terms.
Yeah, tell me about this bug.
It is a massive insect with a long tail, a green neck, and gold wings. It looks like a champion. It looks like salvation handed down directly from the heavens.
And he treats it like a holy relic. He says it is worth multiple cities.
Which is quite a valuation for an insect.
Right. But think about the extreme, almost comical juxtaposition of what happens next. You have Cheng Ming, a grown man who has been severely beaten, his legs covered in festering wounds, his family bankrupt, facing execution or further torture.
Right.
And what is he doing? He is carefully preparing a gourmet meal of crab meat and chestnut kernels for a bug.
It's absurd, but that image perfectly encapsulates the absurdity of their reality. The hierarchy of value has been completely inverted.
Human life is at the bottom.
Human life has been devalued to zero. A scholar and village head is treated like garbage. Meanwhile, the life of an insect has been elevated to absolute supremacy.
It's sickening when you put it like that.
Cheng is starving, his family is ruined, but the bug eats crab meat. The text uses this bizarre juxtaposition to hammer home the critique of the emperor's priorities.
Right.
The wealth and resources of the empire are being funneled into feeding insects, while the citizens who harvest those resources are whipped to the bone.
So the bug is kept in a special bowl, treated better than any human in the village, waiting for the deadline to be handed over to the corrupt officials to save Cheng's life.
They're just counting down the days.
Yeah, and it feels like the tension is finally breaking here. They followed the magic map, they got the golden ticket, and salvation is guaranteed.
But narratives exploring systemic trauma rarely allow for such simple, clean salvation.
Yeah, that would be too easy.
Just as the external pressure seems to resolve, the story pivots violently. It moves from the external terror of the state and the supernatural hunt straight into a devastating domestic tragedy.
This part is so hard to read.
It really is. It demonstrates how the external violence of the government inevitably bleeds into and infects the supposed safety of the home.
So Cheng is out of the house. He has a 9-year-old son, and like any 9-year-old boy, he is curious.
Kids will be kids.
Exactly. He knows there's something incredibly important in that bowl. So he peeks in.
Oh, no.
And the cricket, this incredibly athletic golden wing champion, leaps out.
The boy naturally panics. He knows this insect is the only thing standing between his father and another brutal beating.
Right. He's terrified.
He tries to catch it, to put it back before his father finds out, and the fragile hope is shattered.
He's completely frantic. In his desperate, clumsy attempt to catch the bug, he accidentally crushes it.
It's awful.
And the text is unflinching about the physical reality of it. The insect loses its legs, its belly splits open, and it dies almost immediately.
The physical destruction of the insect directly mirrors the physical destruction Cheng suffered from the magistrate's beating.
Oh, I didn't even think of that parallel.
Yeah, but the stakes here are completely inverted. The death of this tiny bug means the absolute, undeniable death of the family. The golden ticket is gone.
It's gone. And the terrified boy goes to his mother and tells her what he did. Her reaction is chilling.
Truly chilling.
The text says her face turns ashy pale. She looks at her 9-year-old son and tells him, "Your death day has come."
A mother saying that to her child.
Yeah, she tells him that his father will settle the score when he returns.
It's heartbreaking.
If we think about the psychology of a parent under immense external pressure, it usually manifests in smaller ways, right?
Sure.
Like a parent terrified of losing their job or facing eviction might snap at their kid for spilling a glass of milk. The stress forces a disproportionate reaction.
Right, the external anxiety comes out at home.
Exactly. But here, the state's demand for a bug is so absolute and the punishment so guaranteed that it causes a mother to tell her child he's going to die.
Her maternal instinct has been completely overwritten by systemic terror.
Completely. We really have to unpack the profound psychological toll described here.
Yes, this mother undoubtedly loves her son. But the family has been so traumatized by state violence, by the constant threat of complete ruin, by witnessing the 100 lashes her husband endured, that she reacts not as a nurturing mother protecting her child from a mistake, but as a terrified subject of the emperor recognizing a fatal crime. The terror has warped her reality.
And the tragedy is that the child internalizes that terror completely. He doesn't wait for his father to return to explain himself or beg for forgiveness.
He runs away.
He runs away in absolute mind-numbing fear. When Cheng comes home and hears the news from his wife, the text says he feels like he's been hit by ice and snow.
Pure shock.
He is filled with absolute rage. He goes searching for his son, probably intending to beat him, just as the magistrate beat him.
The violence trickles down.
Exactly. But he doesn't find a hiding child. He finds his son's corpse at the bottom of a well. The 9-year-old boy drowned himself out of sheer terror.
This is the emotional pivot point of the entire narrative, and honestly, the core of its political critique.
How are you going?
Well, the state didn't physically push the boy into the well. The magistrate didn't drown him. But the fear implanted in the parents, the impossible quota, the violent beatings, that systemic terror is the direct cause of the boy's suicide.
The system's invisible hand reaches right past the front door.
Right into the living room and takes the child's life. The government's demand for entertainment resulted in a child's suicide.
And Cheng's rage transforms into soul-crushing grief in a fraction of a second. The text paints an incredibly bleak picture of the aftermath.
It's devastating.
He and his wife are sitting in their hut. It's smokeless, it's cold, it's silent. They don't even care about the cricket quota anymore.
Because what's the point?
Right, the deadline doesn't matter. The magistrate doesn't matter. They are just staring into space. The fight is completely gone. They have hit the absolute rock bottom of human suffering.
They are completely hollowed out. The state has finally taken everything. And it's from this absolute nadir of grief, this complete void, that the story introduces a bizarre, inexplicable twist.
It gets really weird here.
It does. A twist that fundamentally blurs the line between human and insect, between the physical reality of their trauma and the supernatural intervention required to survive it.
So as the parents are preparing to bury their little boy at dusk, they touch his body and they feel a faint breath.
He's not entirely dead.
He's not. They pull him from the well, place him on the bed, and over the course of the night, he slowly revives. But it's not a joyful, tearful reunion.
No, it is incredibly eerie. The text describes the boy as wooden.
Wooden.
He is lifeless in his demeanor, entirely unresponsive. He's stuck in this deep, unshakable stupor. His body is functioning, his lungs are moving air, but his spirit, his consciousness is entirely absent.
He is basically an empty shell. And the cruelty of their situation is that even with his son seemingly returned from the dead, the terror of the state hasn't vanished.
No, the quota is still there.
Cheng looks over at the empty cricket cage, and despite the miracle on the bed, his dread returns. The deadline is still looming. The magistrate's whip is still waiting.
Because the state does not care about his grief or his comatose son.
Right.
The state only cares about the quota.
So he spends a sleepless night trapped between a son who won't wake up and a government that won't show mercy. At dawn, he hears a chirp outside his window.
A glimmer of hope.
He goes to investigate, and he finds a new cricket. But this one is nothing like the golden-winged, green-necked champion from the temple.
No, the text is very specific about how unimpressive this new bug is.
It's tiny. It's dark red and black. It has a square head and long legs. The narrative actually compares its appearance to a mole cricket or an earth dog.
An earth dog.
Yeah, it's basically the ugliest, most common-looking bug you could possibly imagine. It looks like dirt.
And Cheng is bitterly disappointed. He looks at this ugly little earth dog and remembers the magnificent creature his son crushed.
It's a huge downgrade.
But out of sheer, unadulterated desperation, because he has literally nothing else to offer the magistrate, and the deadline is upon him, he captures it and puts it in the bowl.
If you are listening to this, I really want you to lean in here because this is the core thematic mystery of the story.
Right. Pay attention to this part.
Think about the connection between the empty, soulless boy lying like a wooden log on the bed inside the house and the sudden appearance of this bizarre, ugly little bug chirping outside the window.
The author is heavily subverting expectations here. The first cricket was aesthetically perfect. It was divinely ordained by a magical map. It represented a clean, beautiful salvation.
But it failed.
Right. It was fragile, and it led to tragedy. This second cricket is the exact opposite. It is born in the immediate aftermath of horrific tragedy. It is ugly. It is entirely unassuming.
It doesn't look like a champion.
No, it doesn't look like a champion at all. It looks like a survivor.
And the story answers the connection between the boy and the bug through action rather than exposition. This ugly little cricket must now prove its worth.
Time for a test.
Word gets around the village that Cheng has found a bug to replace the one he lost. A wealthy young man from the village decides to visit.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah. This guy is arrogant, he's rich, and he owns a legendary champion cricket named Crabshell Green.
Great name for a bug.
Right. He wants to see what Cheng has. When Cheng brings out his tiny, ugly, square-headed bug, the rich kid literally covers his mouth to hide his laughter.
It's the arrogance of insulated wealth facing raw desperation.
Yeah.
The young man treats it as a joke because, unlike Cheng, his life doesn't depend on the outcome. Cheng is humiliated, but he figures he has absolutely nothing left to lose.
The text notes that Cheng thinks he might as well have a laugh, basically embracing the nihilism of his situation. He puts his ugly bug in the arena with the massive champion.
And initially it looks like a complete disaster.
Cheng's bug acts exactly like his comatose son. The text literally calls the insect a wooden chicken.
A wooden chicken.
Yeah, it is completely unresponsive. It just sits there, absorbing the presence of the massive champion. The rich young man laughs even harder. He takes some pig bristles and starts tickling Cheng's bug, trying to provoke it into a fight.
Just taunting it.
Nothing happens. He prods it again.
And then the explosion.
Suddenly, the little bug snaps. It explodes with rage. It charges the massive crab shell green. It leaps up into the air, completely defying its tiny size, and violently bites the much larger champion right on the neck.
It goes right for the jugular.
It's so sudden and ferocious that the rich kid actually has to intervene and physically break up the fight to save his expensive champion from being killed.
Wow.
And the little bug just stands there in the arena and chirps proudly up at Cheng.
The fighting style of this insect is incredibly telling. It acts wooden, just like the traumatized boy on the bed until it is pushed too far, provoked by an arrogant tormentor.
Ah, I see the connection.
At that point, it displays a ferocious, desperate will to survive. It doesn't fight with refined technique or natural size advantages. It fights like a cornered animal that has absolutely nothing left to lose.
Because it doesn't.
Exactly.
And the scene escalates immediately. That was just the warm-up against another bug. We immediately move to a fight that breaks all the rules of reality.
This is where it gets crazy.
Moments after defeating the champion bug, a literal rooster swoops down into the courtyard. It sees the little bug and tries to eat it.
The scale of the threat escalates astronomically, from a larger insect to a giant avian predator.
For a tiny insect, a rooster is a dinosaur.
It's a monster.
The bug dodges the first peck. The rooster pursues it. Does the bug run under a rock? Does it hide? No. The tiny, ugly cricket leaps into the air, lands on the rooster's comb, the fleshy part on its head, and bites down so fiercely that the giant bird is left frantically shaking its head, running around the courtyard in a panic, completely unable to shake this tiny bug off.
It's incredible.
I have to revel in the cinematic absurdity of this scene. A tiny, ugly bug not only takes down a heavyweight champion, but then decides to fight a literal rooster and wins.
It's the ultimate David versus Goliath moment.
It's immensely satisfying to read because we finally see the small and marginalized violently striking back at the large and powerful.
It is satisfying, but it also signals a profound shift in the reality of the story.
How so?
This isn't just a tough bug. This is a supernatural force of vengeance and survival. This impossible victory against the rooster sets off a chain reaction that travels all the way up to the emperor himself, radically transforming Cheng's life and revealing the story's ultimate tragic secret.
So Cheng takes this superbug to the magistrate. The magistrate is skeptical, of course. Look at it, it's tiny and ugly.
He's probably thinking, you brought me a dirt clod.
Right. But he tests it. He pits it against his best bugs, and it destroys them. He tests it against a chicken just to see if the rumors are true, and it dominates. The magistrate is stunned.
And thus begins the bizarre upward mobility of this insect.
It's moving up the corporate ladder.
Exactly. It climbs the exact same bureaucratic ladder that previously crushed Cheng, but it does so with ease. The magistrate sends it to the governor sends it to the emperor,
Wow.
and by the time it reaches the palace, this ugly little dirt bug is being transported in a golden cage.
It's treated better than 99% of the human population.
Easily.
Once it's in the royal palace, the cricket is pitted against every exotic challenger the empire has to offer.
Yep.
Mantises, butterflies, rare insects imported from thousands of miles away. It defeats every single one.
It's unstoppable.
It doesn't just fight. It entertains. The text says that when the emperor plays his lute, the cricket actually performs a dance in perfect rhythm to the music.
It has transcended being an insect. It has become a perfect servant to the imperial whim. It provides violence for entertainment and dances on command.
It's exactly what the emperor wanted.
The emperor is absolutely thrilled. He has exactly what he demanded when he set this whole catastrophic cascade in motion. And because the emperor is pleased, the rewards flow back down the same bureaucratic chain.
The cascade reverses.
Yeah.
The emperor showers the governor with fine horses and silk. The governor is thrilled, so he rewards the magistrate, officially commending his outstanding leadership.
Oh, that makes me so mad.
I know. And the magistrate is thrilled, so he officially exempts Cheng from his duties as village head and secures him a prestigious place in the academy.
Consider the dark irony here. The very institutions that tortured him, the local government that whipped him, the academic system that repeatedly failed him, now open their doors and shower him with favor.
Not because he became a better scholar.
No. Not because he proved himself to be a moral, upright citizen, but because he provided an entertaining bug to the sovereign.
It's so twisted. A full year passes while Cheng reaps these rewards. And then we get the revelation. Cheng's son, who has been lying in that wooden stupor the entire year, finally wakes up.
The coma ends.
His spirit returns to his body. And he tells his parents the truth. He says, "I turned into a cricket, agile and good at fighting. I just woke up."
Wow.
When you really think about the mechanics of what the sources are saying here, it's breathtaking. The child's soul literally left his body.
He cast away his humanity.
He transformed into a gladiator insect and fought for his life against giant bugs and roosters just to save his family from the government's wrath.
This resolution completes the story's political commentary perfectly and honestly brutally.
What is it saying about the system?
Think about what it is saying about how to survive. The only way for a commoner to achieve justice, safety, and wealth in this deeply corrupt society is for their child to literally cast away their human soul and become a performing beast for the emperor.
Oh, man. Maintaining your human dignity while interacting with the state is impossible. You must become a monster, a fighter, or a spectacle just to survive.
But it pays off materially for Cheng. He becomes extraordinarily wealthy. The text lists his new assets: 100 fields, massive pavilions, thousands of sheep and cattle.
He's set for life.
When he leaves his house, he rides out in furs and fine horses, looking like ancient nobility. He is richer than he could have ever dreamed when he was digging under walls.
And this brings us to the final section of the text. The narrative zooms back out. The story of Cheng is over.
Right.
But the author, adopting the persona of the historian of the strange, steps in to deliver a biting sociopolitical postmortem on what we just witnessed.
The author basically breaks the fourth wall. He just steps out and says, let's talk about the mechanics of what this actually means.
Yes, he wants to make sure we did miss the point.
The historian comments on the butterfly effect we discussed earlier. He says an emperor might use an item once, enjoy a hobby for a fleeting moment, and then immediately forget it. But the officials don't forget.
Right. The sycophantic officials beneath him will immediately turn that passing whim into a permanent, brutal law.
The historian explicitly calls out the system. He points the finger directly at official greed and bureaucratic cruelty.
He doesn't hold back.
Not at all. He argues that these are the forces that drive citizens to sell their wives and children with no end in sight. The text makes it clear every single step the emperor takes, every minor desire he expresses, affects the very lives, the blood and bone of the common people.
It's a stark warning about the realities of absolute power.
The system is not broken. It is functioning exactly as designed to insulate the emperor from the violent realities of his own desires.
The commentary points out the profound irony of Cheng's fate. He was ruined, tortured, and driven to the brink of suicide because he was honest and refused to extort his neighbors.
His morality didn't save him.
No, yet he became unimaginably wealthy entirely because of a bug. Magic and insect combat saved him, not the justice system.
And the text ends with a very famous, very cynical proverb to summarize this entire affair. When a man ascends to heaven, his chickens and dogs go too.
I really wrestle with this ending. If you look at the plot mechanics, you have to ask, is this actually a happy ending?
It's complicated.
Yes, Cheng is rich. Yes, his son is awake. But that proverb, his chickens and dogs go too. It means that because Cheng was rewarded by heaven, even the cruel, corrupt officials who tortured him, the magistrate, who had him whipped 100 times, the governor, who perpetuated the extortion, they all received promotions and rewards too.
They are the chickens and dogs of the proverb. The host system that parasited off Cheng's suffering is ultimately rewarded for that suffering.
It is incredibly frustrating to read, but it's also incredibly realistic.
Too realistic.
The corrupt middle management fails upward. The guy who beat Cheng to a pulp gets commended for his outstanding leadership because the emperor liked the bug that Cheng's trauma produced.
The historian wants to evoke that exact frustration. The insight here is that the ending isn't a triumphant victory of good over evil. It's a deeply cynical observation of a broken world.
Right.
The heavens had to intervene, magic had to exist, a child's soul had to transmute into an insect just to save one honest man. But the corrupt system itself remains entirely intact, unquestioned, and actually profited from his trauma.
The machine keeps grinding.
Eagerly awaiting the emperor's next hobby.